Okay guys, finally it's part 2 for the M62TU, which is going to be the timing chain assembly. And I'm going to show you exactly how to time these engines. Apparently it's something that 90% of shops can't figure out. So, a lot of you guys have bought the timing tools already. You watched my last videos, it shows you which timing tool to get. You have to make sure you get the one with the Vanos tools. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use that timing tool set. Okay, so I did part 1 last week. That showed you how to disassemble all the covers, how to take everything off and get to this point. So, where we're at right now is before I could even start, I need to pull that oil pump chain. You remember when I took this engine out, if you watched that video, this chain isn't the right one. This is the 540 engine. We're putting in the E53 X5. The E53 oil pan was way deeper, and the 540 had a real shallow oil pan. So we're going to do that here just a second, but to do that we're going to have to take the timing chain off. So we're going to pull the guide here off. It's just one bolt, and we're going to go ahead and pull the upper guide off, which is going to be this bolt, and this bolt, and the whole U-shaped guide is going to come off. I'm going to show you how to inspect that, but if most of you guys are this far in this, your U-shaped guide is more than likely totally destroyed. Okay guys, so we're going to start off with the crankshaft pin first. The crankshaft pin looks like this. Now on the E53 cars, this won't work. You need the one that comes out and has an L shape to it and has a swivel to be able to fit it back here. And you can see, maybe, that the crank pin goes in from, I'll turn the slide a little different here. It sticks to the flywheel right there, right? So it goes in from the back side and sticks through. Now on this one, I don't have a L-shaped pin, so I use a little bit. I've been using that for a long time. I don't recommend you guys use that because it's easy to get the timing off if you don't have it seated in there just quite right. So anyway, this is where we're at with it. On the camshafts, once the crank pin's in, there's only one hole in the flywheel, so you cannot mess it up. On the camshafts, it's going to look like this. So on the passenger side, it's going to be cylinder 5 through 8 and 5 through 8, right? And you put the cam blocks on. You have to use a wrench on these nuts right here, and the ones in the front. And you have to get these blocks seated down in there. You have to get them seated all the way flush against the back of the head on both sides. See them on both sides. And once you have that seated in, you're going to want to go ahead and break loose. This one's already off over here. You probably saw that. You're going to break loose this nut. This is a reverse thread. However, you can't just put a big wrench on there and just start torquing the hell out of it. You can't do that. You take a chance on snapping the camshaft in half. So you want to put a wrench back here, adjustable wrench. What you don't want to do, you don't want to let the adjustable wrench push on that aluminum housing too much because it could just snap a big hole in it. You don't want that. So once you have adjustable wrench on that hex back there, remember this is reverse threads. So righty loosen, lefty tighty. You're going to want to break this big nut loose. In the middle of that big nut, there is a torque spit. The same torque spit is on this. And once you get that big nut broken loose, you're going to want to go ahead and break the big bolt loose behind it. I don't know why this thing isn't focusing. The light's messing it up or what. Anyway, there we go. You want to do the same thing on the exhaust cam. These are very tight, these big center bolts. The exhaust cam, you want to hold it on here, okay? And then once your main bolts are loose, and depends on what you guys are doing here, you need to slip the gear off the front, both of these. And at that point in time, you can remove the cams. You can see you already have the little oil tubes removed, and they sit under like that, right? You got to take those off to get to the hex on the camshaft. A lot of you guys that are having timing chain failure, you need to go ahead and pull the camshafts out. Pull them one at a time so you don't get everything mixed up. Keep in mind the caps are numbered. You need to pull the lifters out and you need to squeeze them. lifters look like this, and you need to squeeze them like this in the middle, and they should squeeze down pretty easily. You might have to squeeze them a couple times to get the oil out of them, and once they're free, you know they're good. Now, what we've been seeing here lately, a lot of you guys have these engines, have timing chains go bad, and the lifters, which is in there like that, you can see it right there, they'll get stuck. They'll get little bits of timing chain guide or whatever in them, and if you don't check these and make sure you can squeeze them all freely, when you put it back together, it's going to tick real loud, sound like a rod knocking. Okay, so here's where we're at. We got the oil pump chain done here. The other one switched. So we have the X5, which has a shorter chain, and that's good. We got all the guides back on, of course. The bolts up here just setting loose, but the nuts are setting loose also. So at this point in time, everything's locked in. Like I said before, the cam blocks are on. The crank pins in the back and the flywheel. You do have to, let me see here. See the OT? That'll actually go up before you dismantle it. And that lets you know it's the top dead center. Your pin should go right in at that point. Let me think here. So I think we're ready to go ahead and put on the tensioner, which bolts on right there. And before I put the front cases back on, obviously you need to clean all the gasket surfaces. We're going to take this off, and actually that's the motor mount, so that'll be switched out with the other one, with the other engine. X5 motor mounts are different than the 540. We'll clean all the gasket surfaces off, get all that prepped up. So let me go ahead and install the chain tensioner. It comes with the timing kit, and we'll come back in a second. So here we are. We got the primary chain tensioner jig installed. It looks like this, and we just tighten this guy here finger tight, and make sure that the chain on the cog on the bottom is seated. Make sure it's seated in the holes in the chain like that. Make sure it's seated down well. Everything else should be chased in correctly, routed through the U-guide. And at this point in time, we're ready to try to go ahead and set the timing on it. Okay, so the next step is to take a little tool you got in your kit. And you can see on this camshaft, it's got 4 little slots, right? So it's going to fit in 2 of those, just like that. Alright. And then at that point in time, you take a ratchet. Let's see if I can do it here. And this is 15/16. Probably a metric version of it. And you're going to want to turn it all the way counterclockwise to the left. So I like to turn to the right first, and you can feel it turn, and then go all the way back to the left. Just till it stops. Don't freaking crank on it. No, you guys are. Don't go crazy with it. Back until it stops. You want to make sure that this guy here is good too. And then at that point in time, we're going to go ahead and get the Vanos jigs ready next. Okay guys, so obviously we got the Vanos set. We're going to go ahead and double check this. I don't usually do this, but you guys do this to guarantee that you're right on. You don't want to put the engine back in the car or even put all the timing back together and have to take it all back apart. So we're going to take a voltmeter. Any voltmeter that has the setting for the beep whenever you set on ohms. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the negative to ground. We're going to put the positive to the top post here only. You can hear it beep. We know our home position. Let me go ahead and do the other one just to make sure we're on the same page here. And this one's going to be the same way. Okay, so we guarantee we're good on the Vanos. Okay, so before we go any further here, I just want to hurry up and do this. Like I always do, I know what to do, but I have to remember doing this video for you guys. I got to stop, take my time, and trying to make sure when you guys do this, you don't have problems. So we're just going to go ahead and snug these up on each side, and that's going to lock it so it don't move. You don't torque them at this moment. I just took a 3/8 drive ratchet and just snugged them up. They are reverse threads, remember that. Okay guys, so here we are. What we've done so far, we have just torqued the intake Torx bolt, I'm sorry, to 81 foot-pounds on both of them. Went over here 92 foot-pounds and did the exhaust. And once those are torqued down, well, right now we've just we've put the little cog on for the camshaft, and we just have this bolt this finger tight, and you want to be able to turn that, and we have the jigs bolted in place to position this little flywheel in the right spot. So how it works, there's a little peg that goes in a little hole right there. So you want to use some of the case bolts that you took out, and you get a kind of mix and match and find the right length to work here. So before you tighten these down, you want to make sure the peg's in the hole, right? So the peg's lined up, you just snug these up. The same thing, you got the light here. Same thing on both sides. That's in the hole. This guy here is also loose. Okay, so at that point in time, we're ready to torque these nuts. So once we torque both of these, remember these are all reverse thread. This guy, the center Torx bolt, and the nut are all reverse thread. We torque these at 30 foot-pounds, each one of these. And then at that point in time, we're done with the timing. Now, before you just take everything off, you need to keep something in mind. First of all, obviously, you need to take off these guys here. Before you take off anything else, though, you're going to want to take a zip tie. I know a lot of guys will make you laugh. Or a piece of wire. You're going to tie these together. Loop it around here and hold those together. Because what you don't want to happen while you're putting your covers on, you don't want this guy to go slack, and you don't want it to jump a tooth on the crankshaft. That'll screw you over. So for right now, we're going to take a zip tie, whatever I got laying around here, a piece of wire, and we're just going to wire those together. And then after that's done, we go and remove our block here. Like I said before, remove our Vanos little flywheel timing kit there. We go ahead and pull the blocks in the back and pull the crank pin. At that time, the engine is in time. So that is the complete timing video for the BMW M62TU V8.